what exactly a shaker is. What is it? How does it work? A sound control system, a card appearance system. The main effect in this system, we can control the sound, simulating the presence or absence of a card in the box. How does it work? So we can show that there is something in the box, or we can show that there is nothing in the box. How does it work? This can be done in two ways. You can use or not use a magnet. You can exclusively use sound control with your fingers. So inside the box there is a double bottom. The double bottom has a secret hollow compartment where a segment is freely moving within this compartment. So essentially it is this segment that we are controlling in the process. Demonstration. And what happens when we squeeze? This might require a little practice, a bit of effort. When we squeeze the box from the side, what happens? Our top layer slightly presses down and connects with the bottom layer, thereby locking the segment inside. How does it work? Right now, it moves freely. I slightly squeeze my fingers. The segment is blocked, free. But it's much more convenient to do it this way because this segment has special thermal coating, which allows it to move freely inside this compartment. So, with taking gravity into account, it works a little better. We show that there's something. Slightly squeezed. This can be done in the process. There's nothing. Well, and actually, the reverse story, that is, we show that there's nothing. At the same time, we can show the box, place it on the table, click, there is something. And then we will move on to actually revealing the card and so on, to the effects that can be done with this little box. So, the second method, if we don't want to control the sound with using hands, or for example, want the audience to participate by checking that there is really nothing there, we use a small magnet that comes with the device. So the magnet has several points, and there is the first point. Since inside the movable segment we have the thinnest PWM, the thinnest steel plate. If the magnet is at the bottom, at the lowest point, this block is locked. That is, it does not move. Accordingly, in this position, we can freely let the viewer check it. Nothing happens. Next, block, it releases the movable element. And there is also a third block located near the cover. This is a magnet that secures the cover. Moreover, it can secure the cover from both sides. That is, it can be in such a state that is unnatural, and it can be in such a state to hold the card. That is, when we need to hold a card that will later be revealed, we hold it with the lead. So, the magnet in a resting state blocks the inner block. The magnet blocks when open. So, in a closed state, we can give the box to the viewer. We can show it, well, in roughly this way. Close it. It's better to do it without the click, of course. Close it. Ask the spectator to repeat after us. The spectator does the same thing. There's nothing. And then, the most interesting part. How do we discreetly unlock the mechanism? After the viewer has taken the box and tried it, there's no sound. We can show it if it doesn't take too long. Paul looks quite inconspicuous. So, after that, our task is to unlock the internal movable block. How do we do this? We do it, one of the options, with the help of a table. That is, we can do it either when we place the box on the table. All we need to do is make a movement slightly towards ourselves. Slightly towards ourselves. That is, the first position, the second position. We place the box on the table. In the first option, we slightly slide it at that moment. So if the viewer lifts it now, there is a sound. So what can we, how can this be used? This sound suggests that a card has appeared inside the deck. but at least that's what the viewer imagines. So now regarding the card, which somehow, for example, disappeared from the deck, appeared in the box. We will return to this in more detail a bit later. The card is located, for example, here. It can be, in principle, locked with a magnet. This can be its initial position. Accordingly, where everything is locked, unlocked. We start with the first position. The card is locked, the spectator checks, there is nothing. We put it here, don't touch the deck. And when we pick up the deck, we make a slight movement here, unlocked. The inner block is now free. And now our task is a quite classic variant, Ed Marlowe's variant. How do we retrieve the card that appeared in the deck? Accordingly, we use the illusion that we're trying to pull it out of the deck, but unlike other similar methods, what can a magnet give us? A magnet can allow us to pull this card out to some distance without pulling it out completely. That is, we have something like this. Naturally, there's no need to turn it all over. The projection we have is frontal. We see the card coming out of the deck. So, basically, if everything is in the basic position, we open, push in the spectator's card, and pull it out completely. It can be done a little faster. The only thing to avoid is making an overly quick move with the cap, because we might get a pop like this. A pop is not necessary. So, we've loaded it once again. Initially, everything is closed. There's nothing. And we place it on the table, the viewer checked, lift it, a sound appears. It's better to hold the deck quite horizontally, because if we want to create the illusion of a card coming out of the deck, it's better, of course, that it doesn't fall here. After that, we take out the card. You can make a light tap, that is, on the flap. A light tap, avoiding a full collapse. What other important points do we have here? For example, what can the situation with using a magnet allow us? The card can be held absolutely without a magnet. Kay Kakini ako, it can work exactly the same way. We can press and show that there is no sound. Place it on the table, a snap, a sound appeared. The exact same thing. Took out the card, all the same. And the magnet, after we took out the card, we slightly hold the block with it so it doesn't create. And after that, we can carefully, even fully close the deck and place it here. Well, or maybe place it in a completely ordinary way, more like this. So, what else can we do if we use a magnet? We have a magnet here, the card is charged, and let's say, initially, the block is fixed. That is, the magnet fixes this movable block. There is no sound. What can we do? When we show that there is no card in the deck, if we open this all at once, we see this piece. There is a piece here. So, how can we avoid this? We can use a glide. So, we can use a glide by moving this card away. The magnet, even if it is, and here its position is less stable than here, because here its pair is an equally strong magnet. Here it is. It's thin steel. Here it's a plate. Its fixation is less, but still enough for us to perform the glide. What do we do with the glide? When we open the lid before E, in principle, the deck is still in this position. Before that, we slightly slide the card over here with a glide. That is, we slide it here, hold it a little, because remember again that the fixation here is not that strong. We slide it slightly, and after that, we can show that there's nothing in the deck. We can slide it, in principle, even deeper perhaps, and we need an angle that allows us not to show the pushed out card while showing the open. After we close the flap on the box, we just slide it here with a finger and close the flap. Now, everything is ready. Now you can do the same, have it checked, lay it on the table, unblock it. A sound appears. We turn it conveniently towards us, just in case. Since now the magnetic lock is open, with Shardy, we additionally control it with our fingers. We open it. So this is how our situation looks. Approximately like this. You can support the flap from below with your index finger to avoid a sudden collapse. Support it a little like this. For the illusion that we take the card, slightly the index finger, let's say the left, if right-handed, the index finger goes slightly inward. You can use two fingers, whatever is convenient. And neatly, this finger fixes the level of the flap. That is, the most angular position of the finger. Accordingly, when we take it out, we try to lightly tap the flap, but since our right index finger is holding it, it prevents it from fully collapsing. What else can be done? We can make some variations of transitions. For example, if we take magnetic poker chips, so what happens? We can secure with a magnetic chip. First, we correctly check what is happening with the polarities. In terms of polarity, it works like this. That is, we understand that there is a small mark here. This mark indicates that the red chip will always have its point directed towards us. The blue one acts almost like a magnetic key. That is, if it is in this position, we have sound. If it is in this position, that blocks the position. That is, we have no sound. But if we raise the chip up carefully up, we will hear the sound of the block falling. It is not so loud, but it is there. So we hear the block falling. How can we use this effect? So first, it's located here. The effect of change. So the piece is positioned with the dot towards you. What do we need to do? We drop the red piece into the deck, having previously shown the deck. So basically, if it's moved aside, the same story, similar to a glide. That is, for reliability, it can even be... First, the piece for reliability can be secured here. And when demonstrating the approximate glide effect, we bring it to the lower block, bring it here. This allows us to show, in some position, show the inside. We close it. Basically, we can leave the blue piece here from behind. We take the red chip and immerse the red chip into the deck. What happens? At the moment when the red chip goes here, it can stop on the first block. Because we have the first block, as everything aligns correctly, in terms of polarity, the red chip coincides with three positions. So from the front projection, it looks like this. We go in here, thanks to the flag, our view is blocked, we immerse this here. In this position, you can pause for a second. And then we need to coordinate two movements. We release the red chip, it will fall into the middle position. And at this moment, we raise the blue chip to the same middle position. Thereby we get a light, but still light sound of falling. The red piece is fixed inside. The blue piece takes a more rigid position here. So its position here is softer, because this is not a magnet to magnet, but a magnet to shim. In this position, and the sound of the fall, in this position, they are connected through cardboard. And after we lowered, after this whole story happened, we can turn it around. And now that the shim block is free, we can make a sound. And accordingly the sound. What does the sound indicate? That we had a red piece. Accordingly they entered here. And the red piece fell. We demonstrated the sound. And now we can make a change after the sound demonstration. All we need to do is turn it around and simply drop the blue chip from the reverse side. Accordingly, it works in a quite understandable way. The index finger bends under the deck and forcefully pushes the blue chip. This is very important because it has a magnetic point here, and there is a magnetic point similar in polarity here. Here it is similar, here it's opposite. Accordingly, if we make it too easy, it might get stuck somewhere here. This is not very good. We need the chip to fly past this magnetic block, and it does not get stuck in any way, turned or otherwise. On this, at the same time, in flight, it should slightly touch the flank, thereby creating the effect of falling out of the deck. So it looks something like this, a sharp movement. It goes here. So from the front it looks like this. So we showed that we have a sound, turned it around, and tossed the chip. The red one stays inside. And if after the demonstration we carefully, understanding that we must slightly hold with our hands, the mobility of the inner block, gently, trying not to create extra sound after dropping. So the deck ends up in this position after dropping. To show that there's nothing inside the deck, at least to some extent, we need to turn it this way, flip it. So we have the red chip secured inside and show more in this position. That means if the viewer's line of sight is like this point where the red chip is located is hidden. Because if we show it like this, it will be visible here. If like this, it will be visible. If we show it like this, slightly tilting, the corner of the box does not align with the angle of view. And the viewer sees the inside.